You know those days where you feel like you're on top of the world, and then there are those days where you just want to crawl back into bed and hide from the world. Well, the truth is we all struggle at times, and that's okay. The other day we had a delivery at our house. Nothing out of the ordinary, just a regular package. I'm sure you know how it is when you see the same delivery person every so often. You start to build up friendship with them, whether it's UPS or FedEx or mail carrier or whoever it may be. Anyway, on this particular day, my wife was talking to the delivery person, and she could tell that something was off. They seemed more exhausted than usual, not just physically, but emotionally drained. And my wife asked, "Hey, how are you doing?" And they were like, I'm fine. But then they just broke down and just started crying. They apologized and said that some days are just really hard. No particular reason, just hard. They talked for a little bit with my wife mostly listening, and while it didn't solve this person's problems, it was clear that just having someone to talk to someone that showed empathy, made a big difference. It's a good reminder that sometimes just taking a moment to listen and to show that you care can make a huge impact on someone else's day. But it brought to mind what even I was going through personally last week. I'll be completely transparent because that's what we are with each other, right? I was overwhelmed. I was crabby. I was in a funk, and certain things just weren't landing as I hoped, and it just piled and one thing after the other. I eventually began climbing out of this hole when going for a run. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get off the couch, and I'm just going to get up. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to put on my shoes. Hopefully, I'll find something fun to listen to. And when I started listening to some upbeat music, it brought to mind how some days are great, and then they're hard, and then they're great, and then they're hard. And it's just back and forth. And the longer I stayed outside in the sun and on the run, I began to feel better. But I thought about this, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. As I thought more through this great days, bad days, I wanted to find a way to get through them, right? The ups and downs. Like, how do we embrace the highs and endure the lows? Because they're both inevitable and they're both necessary, right? I talk about this all the time. Maybe you'll find the answer you're looking for in the next 15 minutes. I hope so. Or maybe you'll feel as if someone is just sharing what you're going through. But regardless, I want to open this box of embracing the highs and enduring the lows. And what do we do? What do we do when this package shows up on our door and we open it and it's not what we expected? Or maybe sometimes it is. I'm Chad Lawson, and let's calm it down in 3, 2, 1. First things first, let's acknowledge that it is completely normal to have days where we feel amazing, and then days where we feel like everything is falling apart. It's all part of the ebb and flow of life. It's just part of it. But I'm with you 100% as we're all in this together, and I'd like to share a few tips that I've found that maybe can help you embrace these highs and endure these lows. So grab a pencil. Might help for you to write this stuff down. All right, first things first. Tip number 1, be mindful of your thoughts. Now, that sounds very cliche. I get it. We hear this all the time. Be mindful. But the way that we think, it has a huge impact on how we feel. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that. When things are going really well, it's easy to have positive thoughts. But when we're going through a tough time, it can be challenging to keep these positive thoughts going, right? So one way to help is by practicing mindfulness. Yes, I know the word mindfulness is as overused as the phrase Netflix and chill, but unlike the latter, mindfulness won't leave you disappointed with a terrible movie choice and an empty bag of popcorn. But the way that we think can be an incredibly powerful force in how we feel. But for many of us, it can be really difficult to quiet our minds and catch ourselves up on our thoughts and our patterns and what is it we're really consuming in our mind. So the next time you're feeling overwhelmed, I'd like for you to step outside into the sunshine and give yourself a few moments to just sit, to literally just sit, no judgment. Listen to the birds as you close your eyes, feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, and just paying attention, maybe to each breath as you take a deep breath in, as you take a deep breath out. This can bring a refreshing perspective when we just step outside, literally stepping outside of the room and just leaving that environment where we just cannot turn off this switch, right? So stepping outside into the sun or maybe the rain and just listening to the rain, or maybe listening to the birds, or just listening to the leaves, or wherever you are, maybe just traffic noise, right? I mean, that can be calming if you put the right perspective on it. But this can bring a refreshing perspective, and one that may allow us to reorganize our thoughts, or at least even just step away from the negative ones. And so we can say, hold on, let me rethink this. Be mindful of your thoughts. The second thing is, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about taking care of yourself. Now, let's ditch this whole self-care buzzword and go with something a little bit more down to earth, okay? I'm going to sum it up with these 4 simple words. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. It's so easy to say, but so hard to do. But I mean, who wouldn't want to be nice to themselves, right? To carve out some much needed R&R and to indulge in a, delicious cookie every now and then, or 2 or 3. But when life gets tough, it's easy to forget about taking care of ourselves. But it's so important. It's more important to our mental and physical well-being than we ever stop to think about. Taking care of yourself can mean a lot of things, right? Maybe it's getting enough sleep, or eating a balanced diet, hitting the gym, or in my case, hitting the living room floor for some at-home yoga. Maybe it's spending time with your favorite people, or doing something you just love to do, like dancing in your underwear or singing in the shower. And if those are your things, just keep them to yourself if you would. But taking these little breaks to focus on yourself and practicing some self-love can do wonders for your mood. Don't forget to treat yourself to a cookie every now and then, right? I mean, that is part of taking care of yourself. But after this episode, or even pause it right now and write down 2 or 3 things that you simply love to do. Take care of yourself. And third, the most important one in my opinion, reach out for help. It's totally okay to ask for help when you need it. It's okay. Please. You don't have to go through tough times by yourself. Whether you need to vent to a friend, or confide in a family member, or seek guidance from a mental health professional, having someone to lean on can make a world of difference. You would do this for someone else, yes? Exactly. Give someone else a chance to be there for you. Don't let the idea of what someone may think of your situation hold you back from reaching out when you're struggling. Now, notice I didn't say the idea of what they may think of you, right? I said the idea of your situation. There's a huge difference. Sometimes we're afraid that our problems are too trivial, or too overwhelming to share with others. But I want you to recognize that it's your problem. You're sharing what you're going through, right? It's your situation that you're struggling with. It's not you personally. There is no shame in needing some extra support. It takes a lot of strength to admit it, after all. I mean, asking for help takes a lot of courage, and it shows that you're willing to take care of yourself. You deserve to feel better. Did you hear that? You deserve to feel better. And there are people who are wanting and willing and able to help you get there. So this week, I'm going to give you some homework. I know. For some of you, you may no longer be in school, but school is back in session. Now, no one is grading you on this, so don't fret. And this is a learn at your own pace, but I don't want this to be something that you just kind of listen to and then forget. Right? I want this to be something that you try. This is why we're here, right? So your first homework assignment is embrace a grateful attitude. Remember at the beginning, embrace the highs, endure the lows. Take a few minutes each day to write down 3 things that you're grateful for. This can help shift your focus to the positive things in your life, even on days when things are tough. It's not that hard to do. It literally takes 30 seconds, right? Take a few minutes each day to write down 3 things you're grateful for. Embrace a grateful attitude. Now, the second homework assignment. Do something nice for someone else. I know, for some people this can be really hard because not everybody wants something. Not everybody wants help, if you will. But I love this one. Like literally, it's one of my favorite things ever, right? When we do something kind for others, it can also boost our own personal mood. Okay, Chad, you say, like what? I don't even know where to begin. Like, I'm a nice person, but how do I be nice to somebody else? Well, I'm going to give you 3 options, all right? Pick one, or heck, pick all of them. It's entirely up to you, okay? First one, write a thank you note. I like this one a lot. Send a handwritten thank you note to someone that has helped you or just made a positive impact in your life. It could be a friend, a family member, a colleague, heck, even a stranger who's done something kind for you. Maybe it's your neighbor, just to write and be like, hey, I really like the flowers you put out. They look really beautiful. Thanks for making the neighborhood look really nice. I don't know. But write a thank you note, okay? And the second one is offer to help. If you know someone who's going through a tough time, we all do, offer to help any way you can. Maybe they need help with groceries, or their yard or garden needs mowing. These little small acts of kindness, they can make a huge difference in someone else's life, right? And if you think about it, how long does that take, right? Maybe an hour at the most, but can be life-changing for that person. Offer to help where you see the need. And then finally, you guys are really wonderful at this because I am the recipient of this and it makes me so happy. It's honestly the reason why I continue this podcast. Give a compliment. Sometimes all it takes is a kind word to brighten someone's day. So give a genuine compliment to a friend. Maybe it's someone at work or even a stranger. It could be as simple as telling someone they look nice today or that you really appreciate something they've done, right? This week, try doing something nice for someone else. The feeling is infectious in a really good way. And there's no simpler way in giving just a really short, sweet compliment. Listen, it's okay not to be okay sometimes. Did you hear that? It's okay to not be okay sometimes. Life can be unpredictable. It can be challenging. It can be a lot to endure. But it's important to remember that it's up and down, right? Just like riding a roller coaster, but with less screaming and more emotional baggage, mostly. Tough times are a natural part of life, but they're not permanent. You're strong. You're resilient. You're resilient enough to overcome anything that comes your way. I believe in you. You believe in you. Lean on your support system. Take care of yourself, both physically and mentally, and believe in yourself and your unique abilities. Use them to make a positive impact. That's why you have been given your abilities, your talents. Use them to improve the world around you. Keep moving forward with optimism, with determination, knowing that great days, some of them, even your best, are yet to come. For more episodes, concert dates, or to send me some delicious chocolate chip cookies, visit CalmItDownPodcast.com. This podcast was written and produced by yours truly, Chad Lawson, composer, pianist, and nationally recognized sweet tooth. Now, before we part ways, I want to remind you that the views, expressions, and techniques in this episode are of my personal opinion and not intended to serve as a substitute for medical advice or diagnoses rendered to you by your individual doctor or other healthcare provider. Please seek the advice of a licensed physician or therapist for any medical or emotional concerns. I'm not a licensed therapist or physician, but I am an empath by nature, and I hope this and future podcast episodes can aid your emotional needs. To find a list of licensed professionals in your area, visit CalmItDownPodcast.com. And if you enjoy this podcast and want to support the time, the person involved, and content you hear each week, please consider pitching in $2 or $3 a month. Your contribution will help keep this podcast ad-free. Visit CalmItDownPodcast.com, look for the white coffee cup with the heart in the center, or scan the QR code at the bottom of the page. Again, CalmItDownPodcast.com. Remember, be kind to your mind. And join me next week as we calm it down.